tabmok99's 4-minute.
Kung Lao is a descendant of the Great Kung Lao from 500 years ago. He also is the Great Kung Lao, but reincarnated, so he's his own descendant. Now, it was also said that Kung Lao was the last descendant of the Great Kung Lao, at least during the time of MK2. That was until Kung Jin arrived on the scene, who was also a descendant of the Great Kung Lao. Now, how can this be? How can both of these things be true? Well, I thought about it, and this is what I came up with. So Kung Jin is descended from the Great Kung Lao on his father's side. His father must have just died shortly before the time of MK2, and he left behind a pregnant wife. Now, once she gave birth, that baby, Kung Jin, would become a descendant of Kung Lao. And that's how it all fits together. Speaking of great, shoutouts to EVG Kyrie for getting 17 wins in a row last week using Kung Lao.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
At first glance, Frost seems like she could be the perfect Rule 63 character, which states that for every given male character, there's a female equivalent of him. But both gameplay-wise and personality-wise, Frost is a different person altogether from Sub-Zero. I mean, she's young and she's hot-tempered, which is kind of an unexpected characteristic for someone who's got ice powers. She's also obsessed by what everyone else thinks about her. I mean, she's got the skills, but she feels like she gets no respect. No respect, I tell you. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, she was the winner of the Lin Kuei recruiting tournament, so her skills really speak to themselves. But because nobody else seems to see it somehow, it was pretty easy for Kronika to manipulate her into working for her. So, Frost is now one of the bad guys. But hey, who knows? Maybe in MK12 things will be rebooted and she'll change and she could be on Team Sub-Zero. We can only hope. Speaking of skills, shoutouts to Red Eyes for getting 29 wins in a row last week using Frost and shooting up to number 1 in the leaderboard. Nice job, dude.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
Shang Tsung is a big fan of soul food. I'm not talking about collard greens and pig's feet. I mean actual souls. He learned the black arts from the Emperor himself. So what can he do with a soul once he's gotten one into his possession? Well, quite a bit, actually. For one thing, he can read their innermost thoughts, gain access to everything they've ever known, and learn their abilities. Another thing, he enslaves souls. He can force them to fight for him. He can also fuse them together into a single entity like Ermac. Also, every time he does a fireball, that's actually the soul of an extinguished warrior, someone he's defeated in battle. If you listen closely, you can hear them screaming for their lives. Music to my ears. But perhaps his most impressive achievement yet is using the energy of souls to power Kronika's crown. In fact, you might say that's his crowning achievement. Speaking of achievements, shout out to Comical Violence for getting 11 wins in a row last week using Shang Tsung.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
The name Jade is perfect for a Mortal Kombat character, and I'll tell you why. It's not just because Jade is green, although there's that, but because Jade is a gemstone that was really valuable in China and other parts of Asia. Today, Jade is considered a semi-precious stone, but back in the day, Jade was considered more valuable than gold and diamonds. It had a lot of different uses. They used it to make bowls, jewelry, utensils, vases, and in true Mortal Kombat fashion, they used it to forge weapons and build statues. And it was even used to preserve corpses in the belief that it would grant immortality. So here's a fun fact. The name Jade is also the name of John Parrish's daughter. You know, the original Jax from Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. So shout out to Kyrie for getting 13 wins in a row last week using Jade.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
From the very beginning, we've all heard tales of the great Kung Lao, how he defeated Shang Tsung 500 years ago. But it wasn't until Mortal Kombat 2 that we actually saw the modern-day Kung Lao make his debut. So when Kung Lao did arrive on the scene, when he did first appear in-game, what were his sources of inspiration? Well, for one thing, Captain America. The way he would throw his shield and it would come back to him. That was a source of inspiration. Oddjob, the James Bond villain from the movie Goldfinger. That was a source of inspiration. And finally, Anthony Marquez reported feeling inspired by Clint Eastwood. Yeah, the guy from the old cowboy movies. So that's the good, the bad, and the ugly of who inspired Kung Lao. Speaking of inspiration, I think we were all inspired by the old school Mortal Kombat team, like Anthony Marquez himself. Thank you, dude, for the sick shirt. Shout out to him. Make sure you check out Anthony Marquez on his socials. Check out Extreme Kung Fu, his martial arts dojo. And also, shout out to Kyrie for getting 10 wins in a row last week playing as Kung Lao.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
Terminator's a robot from the future. Sorry, cybernetic organism sent from the future to eradicate humanity, except when he's been reprogrammed to protect it. Kung Lao's a Shaolin monk who's jealous of Liu Kang's fighting abilities. Yeah, that's right, I said what I said. Raiden is the Thunder God, or should we say the Blunder God, because it seems like everything he does just makes things worse. Shiva was the protector of Queen Sindel, but the one thing she couldn't protect her from was herself. Kano is kind of an underworld guy himself, back home. Baraka is a member of a species called the Tarkatans who have knives coming out of their arms so they can slice and dice you. Liu Kang is the immortal champion of Mortal Kombat, the chosen one. Cetrion is the elder goddess, meant to be the light to balance out Shinnok's dark, except she also does whatever her mom says, which kind of takes her to some dark places. Johnny Cage is a guy who fights his way through Mortal Kombat thinking the whole thing is a movie. So, shout outs to Sugar Ray Jax for getting 10 wins in a row last week using all those different characters. You know, most people would have a main that they stick with. He cycled through all of them. Good job, dude.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
To the outside world, Kabal's just an ordinary forensic scientist working for the police department. But after a freak laboratory accident, he gained the power to tap into the Speed Force. Now, Kabal is the fastest man alive. Nope, it's the wrong speedster. Kabal, he can really move. Kabal, he's got an attitude. Kabal, he's the fastest thing alive. No, wait, that one's not right either. Which one's Kabal again? Oh yeah, Kabal is a member of the Black Dragon alongside Kano. After Shao Kahn invaded Earth, Kabal was left for dead by one of Shao Kahn's extermination squads, but Kano managed to convince Shao Kahn to revive him. But as a side effect, Kabal was left scarred for life, but he also got super speed somehow. Well, that's Kabal's backstory. Anyway, shoutouts to Saint Go for getting 10 wins in a row last week using the Flash. I mean Sonic. I mean Kabal.
tabmok99's 4-minute.
Let me tell you about Bihan's 3-step easy retirement solution. Step 1. Fight Scorpion and kill him to get the map of elements. Step 2. Using the map, find the location of Shinnok's amulet. Step 3. Hope that your exploits catch the eye of another sorcerer, who then invites you to Mortal Kombat. Kill him, win the tournament, retire. Easy. Only a total noob could mess that up. You don't want to end up like a Wraith of the Netherrealm. Hey, speaking of noob, I'll tell you who's not a noob. Venom Carnage 777, who got 5 wins in a row last week using Noob Saibot.